Hi, this is Joe again with another movie review. So in this video, we'll do a movie that's celebrating its 60th anniversary this year, and it's a Elizabeth Taylor, Mark Hudson, and James Dean movie, Giant. It's also based on the Edna Ferber novel. This movie holds the dubious distinction of being the last movie that James Dean has done, and I'll get into it in a minute. This movie is about a cattle baron by Rock Hudson who traveled from his ranch in Texas to a farm in Maryland to buy a new horse, and he meets, falls in love with, and marries the horse's daughter, or the horse owner's daughter. Excuse me. Who was paid by then about 23, 24-year-old Elizabeth Taylor, and she recently gave birth to a kid. And this is when Elizabeth Taylor was A, still hot, B, as a notable actress, and C, was not hanging around with child molesters like Michael Jackson. Uh, because like 20 or 30 years later, she started hanging out with Michael Jackson, the infamous child molester. But at the time she was doing this movie, she was hanging out with homosexuals, which Rock Hudson was. Even though it wasn't known at the time Giant came out, that he was actually homosexual, and about like 30 some years later, or 34, 35 years later, he died of AIDS. Uh, anyway, this movie is about, you know, Rock Hudson and Elizabeth Taylor's relationship over the course of 25 years. And, and it is a very, very slow movie. It's a 3 hour, 21 minute movie. So it is pretty long, and it is pretty boring. Not really anything exciting to write home about. It has a 25-year relationship between a 25-year marriage, and how the atmosphere in Texas was starting in the course of the movie started to change from the cattle barons, which you mentioned before, what Roy Hudson's character was, playing a character named Dink or Big Benedict, and between the oil barons that was starting to form in Texas at the time, politically and otherwise. And there was a huge rivalry going on between Roy Hudson's character and James Dean's character. Like I said earlier, this was James Dean's last movie, and the reason why it became his last movie is because James Dean had a habit of racing cars, and he had put into his contract when he already did 2 movies already. I don't know if they had been released at the time. He did filmed Giant, and the 2 films that he did were East of Eden, and of course his iconic Rebel Without a Cause with Natalie Wood. So it was already known at that time in Hollywood circles that James Dean liked to race cars. And so when he got signed on to do Giant, the producer said, "Hey, don't race any cars until you're finished filming the scenes." So of course he agreed to that, and he did. After he finished filming all of his scenes for the movie, he he raced a car, one of his cars, and he crashed and died. And of course, when news got out because we're still filming the scenes that he wasn't involved with, because he only, like I said, he just finished filming all of his stuff, all of his scenes were made. So his stuff, he didn't have a stand-in like they did with Paul Walker in the Fast and Furious 7, where they had to have a stand-in to film the rest of his stuff, with the rest of his scenes for Fast and Furious 7. That wasn't the case in this movie because James Dean was already finished with his scenes, filming his scenes in the movie. Uh, there was like a real big shock moment because there was a lot of scenes between Elizabeth Taylor's character and James Dean, especially early on in the film. And his character was rivalry with the Mark Hudson character because for whatever reason, Mark Hudson hated this guy's guts or James Dean's guts, and the 2 characters. But Mark Hudson's sister did kind of like James Dean. It was kind of like a son to her and all that stuff. So she kept him around and said, "Look, on my authority, he's going to be saying he's going to be working here on my authority." And he says, "Oh, if anything happens, it's going to be on your head, not my head, because I want him out of here." Um, and of course, when the sister dies, which I'm not going to say how she dies, because I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen the movie. Uh, she willed her part of the ranch to the James Dean character, and he wanted to hit an oil strike. Yeah, but everybody keeps saying, "Listen, look, we tried it over there, and it's not going to work because because you can't hit oil over there. So the ground is dried up." But James Dean tried anyway, trying, and he wasn't getting anywhere for a long time. And then all of a sudden, boom, he hit an oil strike. And then, of course, he set up oil riggets on his land. And then, of course, Rock Hudson decided, hey, I want to get in on this action too. And he built oil on his land as well, along with the cow. And he was also making money both of them making money hand over fist, and then got a rivalry with the two companies. And they want to buy James Dean out. They said, no, not now, because I have oil on my land that I inherited from your sister. So now I'm going to have a piece of your world now. I mean, your world now. Now we're going to have the treat me as an equal now, because I have just as rich as you are now. And so, of course, they had this big rivalry going on, and it still goes on throughout the film. And then, of course, it goes to a point where not only did James Dean hit on Rock Hudson and Elizabeth Taylor's daughter, but also the granddaughter, the daughter-in-law did not get. We're supposed to have an appointment in the saloon of a big hotel that James Dean opened, and she didn't get in because she was Hispanic, she was Mexican, and there was a big racial stuff, and they were Mexicans in this movie. Mexicans and the Texans thing, racism between the white Texans and the Mexicans, and she didn't get into the saloon, the hair salon, because she was Mexican, and when Rock Hudson found out about it, he was going to beat the crap out of him, and he did. He just gave him a shove and knocked some all the wine bottles down in the basement, and everybody heard what was going on. And James Dean character got so drunk he passes out, and then when he comes to, then he decides to give a speech, and he passes out again a second time. That's how it ended the James Dean character, and that's how it was his last scene ever in the movie. Well, actually, the movie does end with Elizabeth Taylor and Rock Hudson sitting on the couch, and I can't believe we're married for 25 years. Maybe like the kids run their own lives and all that, and that's pretty much how the movie ended. But not before then, Rock Hudson had a fight with a short order cook in a restaurant because he wouldn't serve them because they were with the daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law, of course, like I said, was Mexican. He only wanted to serve rice, and they got into a huge fight in the restaurant with the song "The Yellow Rose of Texas" playing in the background, and that's where the song came. That's the biggest song in this thing. But also in the movie, you also had Dennis Hopper in this film. That was like I think its first role. But as the movie itself, it's boring. This is a boring movie, and if I was to remember this movie, you got praise because James Dean's last movie role. And I told James Dean, I didn't see what the big deal with this with James Dean. He was kind of cool, kind of like a cocky, arrogant guy trying to fit in. But he was trying to be cool and everything. People want to be cool. Like James Dean was cool, in the 50s. But I don't see what the big deal is with this movie. I'm not saying it's not a god awful movie. It's just that it was boring. And I think maybe because of that reason, Giant did not win the Oscar for Best Picture for 1956. It actually went to Around the World in 80 Days. And the funny thing about that is that Giant was up against one of the most, not only did it, was up against Around the World in 80 Days, which won the Oscar, but was also up against one of the more iconic movies of all time, which was The Ten Commandments, with Charlton Heston. And that movie didn't win either, Best Picture. Which I thought that comparing those three movies, even though I never saw Around the World in 80 Days, I did not see that movie. But to say the Ten Commandments is not as good as Giant or Around the World in 80 Days, you know, movies. Ten Commandments, even though I always screaming Moses for being an idiot, which he was, um, that movie is certainly definitely better than Giant, by a long shot, by a long shot. But Giant, because of the actors, the three main actors, that's why the movie got a lot of praise for the actors. Liz Taylor, Rock Hudson, and James Dean. They got the praise for it. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have gotten any praise at all. It's just that the movie is boring. It's boring as hell. It's not an exciting story, in my opinion. Um, but the first part of the movie does carry rest the tone, because the tone of the movie is boring, and it's a shame because of the talent in this movie. The movie is boring as anything, and it's a shame because you do have Liz Taylor, which was in a prime, which was gorgeous. You have Rock Hudson and James Dean, and to me, it's a boring film. That's why I hardly watch this movie, because because of the fact it's boring. And every time I watch this movie, it puts me to sleep every time. Because it's not exciting. It's not an exciting movie. I mean, I can watch a movie about a relationship that goes on for 25 years, but you gotta have some not die hard action in it, but at least more exciting than what was in there. So that's a review of Giant, which we're going to show the film. But one thing I did like about the DVD here is the special features. It does have an audio commentary track, which is few and far between nowadays with DVDs. And I don't know why the most recent DVDs I have does not have. I think it's like a double disc. And I don't know why more of the modern movies does not have an audio commentary track. Because my favorite bonus feature on DVD is you have a bonus track. It does have a bonus track on this, an audio commentary. It does have a documentary on this thing, which is pretty good. Especially, it does go into the reaction of James Dean dying and some of the cast members being upset over it. Of course, Mark Hudson was already dead by the time they did this DVD release. I don't even remember Elizabeth Taylor being shown interview for this thing, because she had a lot of problems then already at the time of the DVD release. But and of course, James Dean was of course dead, but we do have a couple of other couple of other people who did store in this thing. And one of the kids, the grandkids that they did store in this DVD release, and or should I say on the documentary on this thing. Because the son of the director, was George Stevens, who did win an Oscar for Best Director. The movie, like I said earlier, the movie itself did not win. But I do like the bonus features on this more than the movie itself. It goes to show you how boring this thing is. You know a movie is boring when the bonus features are better than the film itself. Then you know the movie is either bad or boring or whatever. Because if the movie says it's good, you don't need to hit all your commentary on the other stuff. So that's like I said, that's my review of Giant. Click on the video, please read it. Feel free to comment on it. Please subscribe to my channel and please forward this video onto my Facebook pages. And also you can check out my older videos, not only on my YouTube channel, but also on rallyc.com. It's ORWDY.com. And you can also check out Rally's TV trash reviews with Christy Moore, who is the Rally reviewer, and who I have to say I can't praise the guy enough. He is my favorite online reviewer by a long shot. He does a great job on reviewing bad television shows. Plus, he also does some a couple of TV movies over the years. He's been reviewing stuff for 5 years now, and he does a great job on everything. He also does a great job reviewing some old Charlie Brown specials. As a matter of fact, I like to take credit for, even though he himself is not giving me credit, I love the fact that he took a lot of my suggestions for his review of Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, playing with Woodstock and being a cannibal and Lucy in there, and that type of stuff. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll catch you next time with maybe a special commentary that I was thinking of doing for Monday, which is April 20th, which is an infamous anniversary, which is a hint. I'm giving you a hint of what I'm thinking of doing. So I catch you next time for that.